because all of the on-ground professors.
Howdy, Savage Pathfinders. Welcome to the pre-stream for the Last Chance Q&A. We got about 2 minutes before we're really going to get going. But, you know, we're here to chat, a little behind the scenes. People, you know, putting their makeup on. Clint just did some amazing lip gloss that is pretty epic. Very important for stream. The lighting and lip gloss are two important things. And so yeah, we got about a minute and we'll get started. But if you guys have questions, throw them in the comments wherever you're at. We are currently live streaming to the Pinnacle Facebook page, the official Savage Worlds Facebook group, the Pinnacle YouTube, and the PEG Twitch. And then following this lovely Last Chance Q&A, which will go for about 80 minutes, we have the finale of Hollow's Last Hope, our premiere actual play. So get those questions in and we'll get starting to answer them. We got representatives from the streaming team, from the development team, from Pinnacle, and other people will be popping in as we go during the day. So welcome aboard, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. And hey, thank you, Landauer, by the way, for getting us like on every platform on the internet that you could even think of, like Facebook Live and Twitch and YouTube. And what are we missing? Like probably lots, but still, I think it's really impressive. And my little dork heart is so thrilled.
So here's the deal with Jody and Clint. They come to all the streams, even though like when we stream late, it's really late for them because they're on the East Coast. And like, you know, like when Wild Cards and Saving Throw, they stream, they go late. Jody and Clint stay up for all of that. It's amazing.
No, I don't. Clint really does stay up late for a lot of it, but I tend to zonk out about 10. And then I'm looking at it on my phone about like 1 going, okay, I can comment one more thing.
Yes, and none of us are really getting a whole lot of sleep during Kickstarters. Like, I know that you guys are excited for Kickstarters. On the back end, it's crazy. There's so much going on. Like just today, we've got to finalize the Q&As because apparently Pinnacle or Kickstarter doesn't let you edit the FAQ after your Kickstarter ends. So like all of the FAQ questions that we have to get answered have to be done. Everything has to be set in place. The bridge between the Kickstarter and the pledge manager has to be put in place. So there's like a lot to be done while we're, enjoying watching the countdown with you guys as well. So let's just go see where we're at, guys. Anybody have the website up? See where we're at to start?
I do. 396, 657 according to my internet.
Wow. $4,500 between now and like 10 p.m. tonight. That's all we need to get the last stretch goal, the ribbons. We know you guys can do it. Shane was dubious this morning. He's like, we're not going to get there. We're not going to do it.
I mean, I wasn't either. I was like, maybe we'll get there, like in the last half hour or something, pull it out in the clutch. But I'm super thrilled by this progress today. So I'm like, yeah.
Yes. 3,200. Nobody's changed their no one drop.
And still keep putting and still keep putting out all of the links to all of the places that you go to on the internet, because there are always people who contact us after the Kickstarter, and it breaks my heart because we have to reply to them saying, I'm sorry, the Kickstarter has ended. There's no way that we can magically open it on the back end and let you sneak in one more pledge or let us take your money some other way until we can open up the pledge manager. And even then, those physical late backers, they don't get all of the same perks that all of you people are getting during the Kickstarter. So get that money in like at the end and at least pledge for a reward level. Like, don't just pledge for no reward, because that doesn't work either. So check
and
your
that's
pledge.
Kickstarter. That's not us. That's just the way
especially,
Kickstarter works.
We should point this out because this actually did happen with the last Kickstarter in our customer service emails. Don't pledge just $1. If you can go for one of those, just the next highest one up, so that then you can bump your pledge to actual physical rewards. Because if you do the dollar amount, it's just going to take your dollar and leave it at that. It's not going to allow you to add anything onto that afterwards. So just make sure that you at least get in that like little minimum pledge, whatever you can do, whatever works for you. And then you can add stuff on that back end, because that's where it's at. That's where the magic happens.
It's how the process works. Sorry, people.
Yeah.
So before we get to the question, go ahead.
I just want to say, I reading a lot of the comments that I've been seeing online, I'm so glad I'm not the only person that's super excited to see ribbons get added. I just want to know why all RPG books don't have that, because the moment I saw that get added as a stretch goal, I'm like, yes, this must be a thing in my life, because I run so many games, you know?
Because they're expensive, that's why.
Totally fair.
But they're super handy. I mean, I love the ribbons that are in the deluxe suede edition with the nice leather cover. And, you know, I mean, I think Mike was even saying that, like, why do we have to always have, like, the one area we always have to look up was, like, the incapacitation rules or the bleeding out rules that you were looking at, Mike?
I don't know what you're talking about. I definitely don't cause problems there.
Oh, we got more people coming in. Here we go.
Yeah, got a Simon here.
We're fighting over Sean.
Look, there's Shane.
I'm
and
sorry,
Sean.
fighting over permission.
We're not going to have the Brady Bunch load out, though, right? It's it's spreading us out.
I mean, we could do bigger. We could do better than the Brady Bunch. You know, we've evolved, bigger families.
We almost have everyone here. Yeah.
Well, I've got a question for Sean Robertson, who's here, because we've got some really cool what's coming up next news. I'm not going to give you any dates, but Sean is the head of an awesome product line for Pinnacle, and so let's see what's going on, Sean. What's up with Savage Rifts, man?
Well, Savage Rifts, I think Shane already technically broke the news, but we are at the layout stage for Atlantis and the Demon Seas. And we are prepping and communicating with Kevin Simbita on some upcoming products. In addition, we have the Archetype Set 2 should be released very soon. We have a new map update that we're pushing out, and for the North American map, as well as a character folio, which we're very excited about. So we hope that everybody will enjoy that, and we have more good stuff coming soon. So
that's fantastic. Oh, and there is one thing, because this one, when we ran Halloween, which was a Savage Worlds online convention, and we're going to do more of those, we had a kind of a kickstart, test start, trial run, better word, because we're in the middle of a Kickstarter. That's very specific. So a trial run of doing a little bit of kind of a living series of adventures where players got to play across multiple game masters. And one of the things that one of our game masters was really eager for was the Archetypes 1 has been translated into from pre-Suede into Suede, and but now Archetypes 2 is ready to go. Right? It's imminent. If it hasn't already been released.
It's very imminent. Let's put it that way.
So yeah, we heard your feedback and we made it happen, guys. So do feel free to ping us with your questions, anything you got for the design team. This is quite the rogues gallery. I think if there were little horizontal lines behind us, this might be the usual suspects lineup.
Yes.
Right.
I do have a question already in the chat, so let me just pop that up from PK Levine. So just making sure I'm giving accurate info. Late pledges will not have access to the pledge manager, correct?
So you will have access to the pledge manager. Everybody who pledges in the Kickstarter, even the $1 people who did not choose a reward level, they will automatically be imported into the pledge manager, even that $1. And then that $1 can be used as credit in the pledge manager. What you're not getting as a late backer in the pledge manager is automatic access to all the PDFs. You will receive comp PDFs for any of the physical items you buy, but you don't automatically get any stretch goals. You don't get those automatically as we release them. You have to email our customer service. That's Chelsea. And then you and Christine and ask for them. So it's not an automatic process. It's a lot more work on your end. And I'm afraid it's just how it is. And then also you don't get the PDFs at both Drive-Thru and Peg Inc. at the same time. So you know, you're getting a huge deal if you're getting it from us as the Kickstarter, because you're not having to buy it again either on our site or at Drive-Thru. You're getting it as part of all one pledge. You're only paying for it once. You're only doing the one transaction, and then boom, 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 all these things just come to you. So that is the benefit. Get the word out. Thanks.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you for clarifying on that, because that dollar level, we just want to make sure that you're getting what you want from the pledge manager afterwards. So that's good to know. We got another comment. Somebody said, I'm waiting on an ETU update. Anyone?
You're muted, Chris.
You're not going to have to wait long. That's pretty much the right answer today. Is you're not going to have to wait long on that. So today's about Savage Pathfinder, but we are in the process of doing some fun stuff with ETU. We've already contacted some folks who are going to be part of our live play, so we're going to be streaming some more ETU games for you. No announcement on when that's going to happen yet, but yeah, you will get some cool announcements coming up here very soon.
I got your spot, Jody. Right with the. We were playing with that earlier, and Jody had the corner at the time. So
I was all prepped for being able to go look here. Then I'm like, nope. Now I've got to move down the queue. Whatever.
So I've got 2 more questions in the queue. So, will this Savage Pathfinder ever make it to Roll20?
Yes.
I believe we
unlocked that stretch goal. So yes, that's
right,
absolutely in the works.
Yeah, that one's easy. If you guys didn't catch, we did a whole stream with our VTT team. It's on video on demand on Twitch now and on the YouTube. Basically, it's called like Meet the Peg VTT team. We had Dr. Amy Marshall on, and she is actually the coordinating almost all the VTT work at Pinnacle, going out to all the VTTs. And we also had Doug Davidson on. So yeah, the VTT support for Pathfinder for Savage Worlds is across the board. If you've got generic assets, if you don't have one of the big ones that were unlocked, but all the other ones were unlocked, and you can get those keys either in the Pledge Manager or afterwards, but we'll figure them out. It's kind of different per VTT, but VTT support across the board, guys.
Sweet. And then we have, has the Pathfinder monk been influenced by the Keymaster of Deadlands, or did it go in a different direction? And I'm actually going to hop out here and let Carl in because he's waiting in the background. So I'll just keep popping questions.
welcome, Carl.
Hey, everyone.
So Carl or Mike, which one do you want to handle the Keymaster?
Not me.
Chris is actually playing one right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, Chris, first of all, I know monks are a big favorite of his, but I think he recently got, he's the most recent to get taken down and take things down if he wants to talk about it.
I'd be happy to talk about it. But I don't know if that's the answer to the question.
The answer to the question is yes. We absolutely are playing off of the key edge in Suede, and then some of the stuff we did in Deadlands. And Chris, you're welcome to talk about how it works now in actual Pathfinder.
Okay, sure. So key or chi is part of the monk edge. And so when you reach the season rank, you get points that you can use to do some cool things like boost your agility or boost your fighting, or, and I'm trying to remember them all off the top of my head, or do some other, power-like things with the monk. And so essentially you have some points that are very similar to power points that you use to enact abilities with the chi power. I enjoy that a lot. When you get to veteran, you also get the ability to do Warrior's Gift and give yourself a combat edge that lasts for 5 rounds during a combat, and that's really cool. I enjoy doing that a lot, being able to pick a combat edge that I
think
I really need right then.
What's cool too is they're automatic, right? You don't have to cast these.
That's correct. They're automatic, and you spend 1 point, and it happens with a success. You spend 2 points, it happens like a raise. So very cool. You can decide how you want to spend those points right there on the spot.
Another thing about the chi too is you can recover some of it with the Benny, right? So when you get into these big combats with a lot of enemies, you can decide, do I need this Benny for a reroll later, or do I want to get my special smite off so that my fist can go in and wreak extra havoc as I land hits on things. So it's just a lot of fun.
And that's just one part of the monk. The monk class edge has some other things too. A stunning fist, unarmed strike, as Mike was mentioning. I just looked it up. Yeah, some of the other things you can do with the chi or ki, I guess you could pronounce that either way. I prefer chi. Is you can do protection. and you can do smite, so you can smite your own fists. I love that part. When you get to the veteran level, you also have deflection, wall walker, and as I mentioned, warrior's gift. So I enjoy playing monks a lot, so it's been fun watching the development of this one.
Yeah, when we did one of our last play tests, somewhat spoiler alert, but the group was trying to infiltrate this keep, right? And so there's a bunch of guys on watch, and they're trying to figure out how to get up there. And Chris is like, "Nope, I just spend a chi, and I'm just going to walk right up the wall." So he was able to tie a rope up there and help the party bypass some encounters that they might have, otherwise had to deal with. So it's got some really cool utility in with it.
So while Chris and the monk were fantastic, how did that encounter go, Mike?
I thought that encounter went fantastic. There was some good hits landed, and I think all of the ogres are very sated that evening. That was probably, I think, the biggest TPK we've had, trying to deal with a big clan full of ogres, and the party deciding that they, hey, let's split up, right? That worked perfectly for them. Yeah. Nothing horrible happened at all.
I'm not saying it's connected, but I just happened to not be there for the playtest that night. Yeah, just saying.
That just means we had 2 fewer crit fails that night, right?
Mike was rolling some crazy damage on us that night.
He was. And it seemed such a great idea to enter the tower from 2 different points and get what we thought was going to be a particular bad guy from 2 angles, maybe surprise her from behind. But that is not how it worked out.
Well, I think part of the problem, too, is, the 2 teams weren't connecting. So I think one started the encounter before the other got there, and then ran away immediately so that the other group came out.
Not only did I run away, I dragged Simon with me.
Yeah, because I went down in the first round.
We all went down eventually.
Simon, what was that unique thing about your cleric?
Well, come on, Simon, share with the masses.
So the cleric had a particular cult that he was a part of. It was a death cult, and I hadn't really thought that through. What it meant was that I could only heal people who believed the same thing that I believed, which was nobody else in the party. So if I had healed anybody, it would have been a sin, and I would have been at a penalty to every other faith roll for the rest of the week. So yeah, I didn't heal anyone except me.
Put a bit more simply, our cleric would not heal. So
now, in fairness, I warned you ahead of time not to count on him too much as a cleric.
He did say that.
He did.
But it became very apparent that was not a good design. I chose poorly.
You chose poorly, and then people died and their faces melted.
Yeah.
So we got a great one. Wait, we should change Can we get information on how a sorcerer will be different than the wizard in Savage Pathfinder?
So can we go back to the Jess ETU study abroad update first?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, let's do that.
It's like 3 questions back. Yeah.
Cool. We got it. Jess.
Oh, the classic not knowing you're muted. It never ends. So what was the question? Just like what's coming out next for it?
Yeah, ETU update. Anything you can tell us about what's coming up for ETU?
ETU Study Abroad should be coming out soon. We talked about it way back at Halloween, but now it's actually a lot closer to being released. You get to go to 4 different countries, Italy, England,
Costa Rica,
Poland. I was like, where are my notes? Poland. And you get to learn about the country and the culture. It's really cool. If you didn't get to study abroad in real life, it's something you can do, as a character, which I thought was really cool. Nothing
only
like
with
that.
more monsters.
Yeah, and more monsters, of course. Lots of creepy stuff, ghosts, things like that. But I thought it was cool because we don't really have anything like that for ETU, I don't think, right now. So it gives you like some really cool destinations to go that's not in Texas. Anything else?
That was good for a current update. Let's see. Question for Shane. Any chance a Suede update for Evernight? Oh, we're going way back with this one.
Oh, wow.
Currently prepping it in Foundry from Kruvek.
So it is not currently on the schedule. We've had 2 people work on it over the last 7 or 8 years, and both of them did not finish for various reasons. I don't know what their reasons were. They one, I think, had some family issues. The first one, I don't know. But it is definitely something I would love to return to someday. There are even the original sequels that I had planned for it. So once we clear some decks, and we have a lot of decks to clear, I do hope to come back to it. What year did that come out? That would have been 2002, I think.
2003, with the original Deadlands.
The original.
Yeah. We were playing it in 2002, but nobody knew about that.
Okay, so we're coming up on an anniversary. Maybe we'll see what happens.
Well, we come up on an anniversary every year.
Thanks, Simon.
I'm sorry.
Never change, Simon.
No. Change.
As soon as possible.
But it is awesome that you asked about it. Thank you.
Got a new question. So not totally related, but did the Blood Drive Late Backers Pledge Manager come out? I want those maps, and I'm on the email list and haven't heard anything.
You haven't heard anything because it hasn't come out. That's me. So no, it has not come out yet. I'm still proofing that, and once it is, once all the things are fine-tuned and everything's all working correctly, remember, we have to build this on a separate site and make sure everything's working correctly and all the payment transactions are going to work fine, then we can launch it. So I'm sorry that it takes so long, and I know you're eager to do it, but it's not going to happen today because we have other things going on. But that's on me, and we'll get to it. I promise.
So, question: will we see more of the standalone modules from Dartnet? Local Savage, Rocky Mountain Savage. How's it going, man? So I'm pretty sure that's referring to Savage Pathfinder. So maybe in general, what do you guys think is the future of Savage Pathfinder beyond Rise of the RuneLords?
So our plan is to do a big adventure path about once a year right now. And then we would, about the 6-month mark, we hope, we will release something else. That something else might be standalone adventures, a book that adds more classes and prestige edges and so forth, class edges and prestige edges, that sort of thing. We've got to get all that approved, of course, by Paizo, and then make sure that what we want is in in an archive somewhere we can get to it. Some of the stuff is pretty old and might have file issues or whatever we have to deal with, but that's the plan. We'll be releasing interim things as we go, and if the line does particularly well, we'll speed that up. But that's the plan right now.
Are we getting Hollow's Last Hope sequels? I think that'll probably be part of that. I mean, that's one of the things that could be possibly along the line. I've heard there was due to popular demand for Scorch. There was some questions in the Twitch the other night if the free RPG Day goblin-themed adventures like We Be Goblins might be coming to Savage Worlds too. I'll leave Shane's answer as the definitive one on that one, guys. Here's a good one for the design team. Will class edges or something like that appear in other Savage Worlds books or compendiums from Leprechaun 5?
That's me again. So I'm not ready to answer that just yet. We are working on the fantasy companion as we work on Savage Pathfinder, and figuring out what goes with each is a great debate that we're having at the moment. So I'm not ready to answer yet.
I will note that does already appear in Savage Rifts with the iconic frameworks and iconic edges. So if you're really hungry for something like that and want to check it out, Savage Rifts is a good
Great
place
point.
to check out.
And those were kind of the prototype for this, right? So we thought about class edges to emulate D20 style games for a long time. I mean, it's the biggest brand in the world, right? And there's plenty of content we all have on our shelves that we would love to play in our favorite game systems, right? So we've had conversions that we use, kind of rule of thumb kind of stuff, for over a decade, I'm sure. And we, the tricky stuff is how much do you emulate the world and how much do you emulate the system, right? So we always say, make a Savage Worlds version of the world, not the system. But some games, the system is tied intricately to the system. I would say Pathfinder is one of those, right? Pathfinder, the classes are part of the system and the classes are part of the world. If somebody tells you they're a paladin or a barbarian or a cleric, you know certain things about them. And those built-in assumptions and tropes are a big part of the game. So we had to emulate that part of the system. We're not emulating hit points or any of the other D20 tropes that we've already done differently in Savage Worlds. So it's an art, not a science. And I think with Pathfinder, Chris, Mike, Don, Carl, Clint, Simon have just been knocking it out of the park there. I think it's right on, and there's just a few nails we're still hammering on a little bit, but by and large, I think you'll find that it fits the world and gives you the D20 dungeon crawl feel that you've been looking for.
I think an interesting observation with Savage Rifts, because Sean mentioned it, is just how kind of the success of Savage Rifts really opened the door for Savage Pathfinder, and there's a lot of interesting parallels there. I mean, just the fact that you're going from more crunchy systems. I mean, one's D20 and one's a little older than that, and but the fact that the fans have really taken up the cause and shown a lot of love to those product lines, and the continued support for Savage Rifts, I think is something that hopefully we'll model with Savage Pathfinder as well. And just seeing that, Pinnacle's played really nice in the sandbox with Rifts and Kevin, and now Paizo's been more than gracious to let us, bring Galerian to Savage Worlds. So I think that, thank you guys for the fans for picking up those, because I think that's really how the part of the key to getting these things unlocked was, seeing how it was done, seeing that it was well received. And even just watching Rifts evolve from pre-Suede to post-Suede, and kind of how much design work was done in there, and watching it's fun on the back end meetings. I have no vote in this, but watching Clint and Shane and the design team wrestle out some of the harder mechanics choices, and even just with the Hollow's Last Hope finale appearing tonight. Between the finale and now, there's been some big changes on how class edges were handled and stuff like that. So I have a question for Clint. What's been the most interesting design choice for Savage Pathfinder mechanically?
Wow. Most interesting design choice. I probably would have to go with the class edges, because we did step away from the iconic frameworks a bit, because we had to allow for multi-classing. So unlike the iconic framework where you're tied into that iconic framework, I mean, you can choose some that allow you to do multiple different things. With this, you can start as a barbarian, and I actually made one up for the playtest. Barbarian who then multi-classed into druid, and you can do that. You can pick up the other class edges. Now, just like with D20, you're spreading yourself out a bit, where you have other class edges for barbarian. You can't necessarily get all of them. And you've got to have a faith skill to use it, which, trust me, you're not going to use while you're raging. You better cast before that happens.
What do you have to have, Clint?
Faith skill.
Can you sing that for me?
So I do have one quick thing to put in there. The iconic frameworks you can't multi-class in Savage Rifts, right? And I know that you're with Savage Pathfinder, there's something a little different, but I know that myself, a lot of my friends, a lot of people I've talked to at conventions and online, they really enjoy Savage Worlds or Rifts for Savage Worlds, because all the edges, if you meet the basic requirements, it is kind of like multi-classing, right? You're able to specialize in this or specialize in that. Your Glitter Boy pilot can also be socially dynamic if you want. You're not tied into a progression scheme. And that's one of the things I think is really cool about it, because you do have the iconic edges, or like with Savage Pathfinder, the class edges, but you make that choice. It's not on a progression where you're locked in necessarily with every single edge or advancement you take.
And I will say one other mechanic that I think is really cool is the difference between the sorcerer and the wizard. I'm there for you, Brado262. I know you've been looking for that one.
Teasing it.
Yeah, teasing it. The difference between them is very much like they are in the Pathfinder Galerian setting, which is when you take that class edge with the sorcerer, you're getting bloodline abilities. And the class edges connected to it, some of those are connected to that bloodline where you can get advanced bloodline abilities. And that's going to vary what kind of sorcerer you have. The wizard has schools, and those schools will determine abilities and things that you've got. The wizard will also have the option, I think the base class edge includes Arcane Bond, which means they either have a familiar or they have an item, which if you watched the playtest the other night, Shane, I think in playing Ezrin had it. The Arcane Bond was his staff. And so, yeah, there's within the class edges, there's some variation in there. The access to powers is mostly similar like it is, but, otherwise, it'll be familiar to casting, but yeah, there's some unique aspects to each. And hey, if you want to, you could multi-class sorcerer wizard.
It's a great answer. Did extremely well, Clint.
So, Chris, as long as you're talking, what about the prestige edges, and how do they differ from class edges?
They differ in that you take them after you've qualified for them, whereas the class edges, you can even take a class edge as a free edge when you first design your character. So every character can get a class edge when they first start. The prestige edges, you have to build up and qualify for them with some requirements. But they're very similar, I think, to the prestige classes, or emulate them is probably a better way to talk about it, from Pathfinder. And we even use some of the same language. We have Arcane Archer and Dragon Disciple, and we have the Duelist and Eldritch Knight, and all your favorites in there. And they are edges that build up. So once you get to season, you can start taking them, and there's a couple different levels of each one. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that, Mike, maybe, but that's how I think about them.
Yeah, I think you captured it really well there. Anybody who's familiar with the Pathfinder setting and all of these, I think they're going to get a really good feel for the classes that we've done here. And so as you progress, if you're, going into a Dragon Disciple, you'll eventually start kind of evolving, that you become more draconic and have more abilities. If you're, a Monk, Sorcerer, Shadow Dancer, depending on, how far you go in each class or each prestige class is going to enhance what focus you are there. So they're more specific class edges. They're prestige edges. And we have, of course, more that we've talked about, like the Red Mantis Assassin that are in the Companion, I believe. So, yeah.
And just like Clint was saying earlier, you can, you don't have to go through the whole progression. You could take the first prestige edge for the Eldritch Knight, and then later on you could switch to something else as long as you qualify for it. So a lot of flexibility there.
Great. The question about races and ancestries from Saragar. How are they going to be in Pathfinder Savage Worlds? Are they different from the races in the Savage Worlds core rules?
Yeah. So the ancestries in Savage Pathfinder are specifically designed to mimic the feel of those in the Pathfinder world. And so while the core Suede book has a lot of great standard races, they're all really well balanced. What we've done is we have grabbed the most iconic aspects, like from the gnomes, we have their gnome magic, right? So the gnomes are a little bit more innately arcane, and elves are a little bit more resistant to magic, things like that. So it's way more focused on the Pathfinder aspect rather than the core Suede races.
So similar topic, and this is kind of building off of Simon's ineffective healing character. Steel Draco asks, did you give each Galerian religion its own sinning table?
Yeah, so one of the aspects of being a cleric is obviously you want to be, kind of the pinnacle of your religion. You're going out and you're saving people, and as such, you can't exactly be a pinnacle of faith and then constantly go out and do the opposite of what your deity stands for. So depending on what deity you worship and what aspect of that religion that you kind of exemplified, that's what it's going to be more on. And so the sins will differ depending on who you follow. So unless you're trying to join a death cult like Simon was, you should not run into issues where you can't heal your buddies.
Yeah, the sins are tied directly to the domain that you choose, and the domain is tied to the deities. So I think the short answer is not exactly, but it's definitely all connected.
So building on healing your buddies, how does non-magical healing work, and what sort of healing can be used during combat?
Well, I'd say that's just the same as it is in the core rules. So, yeah, the only difference is the accessibility to potions of healing, which, we do have in there that if a character's incapacitated, you can pour a healing potion down somebody's, mouth and, do it that way. And that is still considered magical healing. So potions are there. That's your emergency trauma kit in Pathfinder, if you need healing during combat. And there is, one of the things I like that the guys have done is there are potions that you can, spend more money to get, where you can get potions of greater healing. So you can get potions that will work past the hour. So, even if your characters maybe don't have access to that right away, or you have Simon in the group, there is the option, to take care of something afterwards.
I want to jump in here, and this came from the playtest. Another thing to keep an eye out, folks. Your enemies can have potions too. So if you sit there and you leave the support staff of the enemies there for the entire battle to keep buffing and healing, don't be surprised if they come up with their own potion later at the end when you finally take down the big baddie and stand them back up because you decided they weren't worth the trouble.
I feel like you might be pointing that at us.
Yeah, I am 100% pointing that at you. It's fantastic.
Simon, my barbarian's joining your religion. That's it. You got to convert.
Well, then you're going to be fine.
In essence, we all joined his religion.
Yeah, we had no choice.
By default.
Oh, I wasn't expecting it to be added. I was hide in the background.
We're playing musical chairs, guys. Apparently, you guys all came out for this stream, and we are mere hundreds of dollars away from unlocking all the stretch goals. $399,478 right now. I feel like one of those guys in the telemarketers, like, dig deep. Your money doesn't go to me. It go, wow. So we weren't not expecting that to happen until maybe late tonight, if it happened at all. And you guys just came through. So congratulations, guys. Like 1 or 2 more pledges, and all of the stretch goals will be unlocked, and you'll get those lovely, lovely ribbons. So yeah, Mr. Biofan, for people who can't pledge today, will this Kickstarter have a late backer option, and what are the limitations of that?
Yes. Yes, we will have a late backer option using Pledge Manager, and when the Kickstarter ends, we will have a bridge link that will go up so that if you get to the page just a fraction too late, you'll have the option to go and sign up for what they call as a bridge while we're still building the platform for Pledge Manager's e-commerce solution there to accept you as a late backer. You can just sign up and say, hey, send me an email when you've got it all ready, and you'll get the email at the same time as all of our backers inviting you to the late pledge, to the Pledge Manager. The only difference is the pledge, the Kickstarter backers already get invited because they already have a pledge and they already know that they're getting stuff. If you're a late backer, all you're doing is you're coming there and you're like, well, where do I want to participate? Because my options are a lot less now. And as a late backer, you don't get access to all of the PDFs immediately. You have to basically ask us for them. And then you're not going to be able to get them at both Drive-Thru and at Pinnacle's website. So those are the differences there. You're not going to get all the digital stretch goals immediately, that kind of thing. But we will have a late backer option. So pledge now. That way you get automatically added, get all the PDFs automatically while there's still time. We still have a few hours left. So do that if you can.
Easy question from Fade. Game Master Digital reward lists status cards and power cards, but Game Master Print does not. Is that a typo?
That's a typo.
You get the stuff, guys. You get the stuff.
Yeah.
If you get the print stuff, the prints, the boxes that are in the print, the 2 box sets are not lacking in anything. There are some add-ons that can be done in the Pledge Manager. Like the VTT assets will be an add-on. Is that correct, Jody?
Yes.
If we've unlocked them, you pick which one you want.
Yeah, and if you do add on a set of status cards, you also get the PDF as a comp. So you would just email us again and say, hey, I bought the status cards. Can you send me that extra PDF? And we'll be like, sure. So, you're still going to get that. That's why I know the print absolutely gets those things as a digital reward. Sorry, Game Master Print might not get the status cards and power cards as a PDF. I was thinking that as
they get them in PDF.
Yeah, they get them in PDF, but you don't get them in print because that's for the core box set.
The box.
Yeah, we just have someone in chat saying we hit it.
Yay! Thank you.
Oh, and Amir Groves, he says he pushed us over 400,000. So thank you, sir. We appreciate
He said he was hoping to be the one to do it, so he's holding back until the last minute, just so that he can do it.
Nicely done, everybody. Nicely done. I mean, 400,000 just sounds so much better than 382. We're gonna make all this stuff for you anyways, people. But so I can spill some beans now. So I think Shane I don't know whether it went out or whether it was just in reserve, but there was a close enough secret Scorch stretch goal that if we got really, really close to the 400 and didn't sneak over it, we were still going to throw in the ribbons. And
we were going to do the ribbons. Right. I want the ribbons.
I want the ribbons too. I'm so excited for that.
So, it's there's always some wiggle room, right? I mean, without getting too boring here, you got to remember that Kickstarter is going to take about 10% of this, and about 10% of people will back out, during the Pledge Manager stage. So, we're probably going to lose about $70,000 off of this thing already. So, we build in some room here and there for the things we really want, but, please don't cancel your pledge. You pledged, you're in. Right? Because, we do try to calculate these things as closely as possible. And it affects everything from, what we pay at the printer to the shipping rates and stuff. So we understand stuff comes up, but it is pretty rough on us manufacturers, on us, game publishers when a fair amount of people cancel afterwards. So, don't be rude.
Pledge is a promise.
It also kind of feels like somebody defriended you, right? So it's like,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you're going to cancel, cancel before it's over, not afterwards, and then ask for a refund, because then we have to even pay fees on it. And we generally do. We want to help people, especially if you have a hard time and stuff. But it's let's get off this subject. This sucks. Let's talk about fun stuff.
Yay, we beat 400.
Right. So here's a totally unrelated question, not a political product, but SWAT. SWAT's My Little Baby. We put it on hiatus for a bit, but it will be making its way to Kickstarter sometime in the future. But just be patient with us, guys. It's not a PEG product; it's a Rocky Mountain Savages product, and but we'll get there. So that was an easy one. And now we get back to Savage Pathfinder. So
I got to play SWAT on the Savage Cruise, which was super cool.
Yes, you
awesome.
did. And we've got plans. So we have a meeting. We couldn't do it before the Kickstarter was done. We are all exhausted. But we have a go or no-go meeting for 2 big, exciting events. Probably early next week on whether or not we're going to go back to Deadwood this year and perhaps a Savage Cruise next year. So we're going to look at the logistics of that, make sure everything's healthy and safe for everybody. And so yeah, that's in the works. So there's a no or go no meeting probably next week, and we'll let you guys know after that where we stand on those. So there will be opportunities to play in person in the future, and there's also probably going to be doing more online virtual conventions because everyone loved Halloween, and Holler is still in the four parts of our minds. I can speak, and so yeah, guys, let's get back to some good questions because there's a lot of exciting stuff. Besides the fact that we got 400,000 on the Kickstarter, yes. Question in regards to the revised fantasy companion, will it provide viable options for spellcasting with greater duration spells or ranges or variant play styles?
There are quite a few edges in there that do cool things. Some of them wound up being in Savage Pathfinder. Quite a few of them did not. They didn't fit Pathfinder, and sorry, folks, we really are exhausted. And some, we're just saving because they fit better in our stuff and are more of a toolkit kind of approach. So a lot of them take the form of modifiers, so you can do it that way. Almost all of them, honestly, or edges, right? So there are some pretty cool ones. Like, let's see, what can I tease here? Well, we already have favored powers in Pathfinder, and a favored power is a higher level class edge that lets you ignore 2 points of penalties on usually 3 spells depending on the class. And the spells are picked very carefully, and we choose them so that it's not just anything in the world so you can't abuse, like Dawn's Limited Wish or something. But so for example, a cleric in Savage Pathfinder gets favored powers. One of his favored powers is healing. So that's really handy because, in the middle of combat, if he's beat up or he needs to do a multi-action to heal a couple of people or something like that, it's a big deal to get rid of that -2, right? Especially when you're down on Bennies, the party's desperate. You've got Krieg the Ogre smashing party members left and right. I might be familiar with that. So we have things like that in the Fantasy Companion that are more open, and we'll let you choose. But we're still working on exactly how to control that so it's not so abusable, right? But yes, there are lots of options, and magic is obviously a huge part of the Fantasy Companion.
Sweet.
Yeah, we'll see how the that fight against those ogres goes when we have somebody who's actually a cleric who's actually healing the party. Is in there as opposed to Simon's Death Cleric.
Don, you might have to turn up your mic again, but the from what I understand of Simon's Cleric, he actually doesn't heal unless you remind him that he has the heal power, and then he goes, "Oh wait, but I can't heal you."
Yeah. Well, I grabbed hold of. I'm going to test out our mystical Thurge. Am I saying that right? Thurge. Prestige edge, and so I'm combining a cleric and a wizard, and so we'll see how when somebody knows what they're doing, with the cleric actually does some healing for the party, throwing absolutely shade Simon's way.
Just as he gets back.
It's justified.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Hey, chat. Did we provide any rough non-binding guesstimate on U.S. physical book shipping dates? No, we didn't. We did not provide an estimate. I don't know if we could, Jody.
A rough non-binding guesstimate. Sure, not totally binding it all. It takes about 6 months or so, after the Kickstarter. So that's probably going to be putting us about August. So probably delivering about August, September or so, shipping, and then out to retail before the end of the year. That's the plan.
Cool. All right. I'm just going to rapid fire through these because we have so many questions. I did not expect 132 of you to show up, so thank you. Oh my gosh. Savage Shadowrun, question mark? Anybody? We can move on. Yep, we're moving on. All right. Any chance you might have some sort of Savage Pathfinder demo type game in time for ChupacabraCon virtual in May of 2021?
It's possible, but I don't think we have any plans at this time.
Okay. Here's another question for the design team.
But the PDFs of the game should be out then. So if people want to run it themselves there, they should be able to.
Especially Hollow's Last Hope, because it's a smaller one. If you don't want to throw people into the middle of Rise of the RuneLords.
Gotcha.
I'd actually probably recommend, if you're going to try and parse that down to one session, start in the monastery. Because getting to the monastery is, I think, generally speaking, it'd be like maybe 2-3 sessions worth of stuff. If you start at the monastery, you probably could hit that in a single session.
That makes sense because we are in the monastery for the last episode. We're about a quarter of the way into that monastery part, but as you can see, it probably only takes about 2-ish hours. So tack on an extra hour just for chaos and you're good. All right. What element of Pathfinder did you guys find most difficult to emulate? Spells, class features, etc.
That's an interesting one. For me, it's not difficult in a bad way, but classes were difficult just because when you look at a level 1 through 20, or even a prestige class that goes 1 through 10, there's so many abilities, and the way it progresses, you get a ton of little things, over a long period of time, that trying to condense it all into 3 edges that kind of make you still get the full feel of it while not doing the exact same thing. That was a bit more difficult, and it required several iterations and a lot of creative planning and going back and forth to make sure we had the feel. That's my take on it.
I would say it wasn't difficult, but it was I think the longest process was really nailing down what a good Savage Pathfinder encounter looks like, how we really take, like, especially with the big bad bosses. And I think Mike's the encounter master in chief for Savage Pathfinder, but we were probably doing, you would have 1 to 2 playtests with your groups, and then the dev playtest, and then we'd do another revision based on the stuff that happened in the dev playtest. So like 4 or 5 iterations, and then you get to something that is really solid. And then you do that a dozen times, and now it's a lot easier. Like, for instance, we were looking at some of the encounters in Hollow's Last Hope, and now that we're towards the end of that process, it's a lot easier to think, okay, how do we actually get there, like design 1 as opposed to design 5 or 6 or 7.
Carl, running that Pinnacle playtest, how was upping that difficulty for that round 2 that we did to make it a little more savage?
I added more wild cards to the mix, so that got a little tougher. And certain instances, which strangely it didn't come up too much, there was a blanket like +2 to undead on certain rolls because of the area, and they had minuses to stuff, which I was keeping in the background over here, not really telling them, just giving them the atmosphere of what was going on. And but it didn't come up too much, unfortunately. But yeah, there was some extra edges I added to the skeletons at the end there. I think it was like what was it called? Formation Fighter, I think was cool edge, it's pretty cool. That really beefed them up a little bit more. And there's just a few tweaks here and there I did, but yeah, it went along better, I thought, the second time around.
Yeah, hey Clint, you want to drop a little sneak peek at the change to the gang up bonus based on Carl's playtest as well as many of our other sessions?
Nope. So this is something you will likely see in the core in the future, which is that the gang up bonus, which it's nice the way it works, is not only going to apply to attack rolls but also damage rolls. So the more people you have around you, not only are they more likely to hit, but they are more likely to get in a good solid hit. And Formation Fighter, like what Carl was talking about, is pretty nasty because you get a couple of goblins around you, and just 2 goblins are +2 to gang up. 3 can get the +4, I think, because they actually add an extra point to gang up as they scurry around. And
if they have the Formation Fighters edge.
Yes, if they have that edge. Yeah,
Not
if they have
everything
the
does.
edge. Not everything does. But, all the goblins will if in Shane's games. Just trust me. And they'll have like D10 everything. Because Shane...
Oh my God.
But yeah, gang up is going to be, pretty dangerous, and it's it's a dangerous world. It might even be, defined as savage.
Oh, all right. Are the chase rules for Pathfinder going to update the standard Suede rules?
No, they're the standard chase rules from Suede, which have to accommodate everything from foot chases to galactic armadas battling each other. We don't need that here, so we were able to do something really cool and fun. And Simon has created the chase deck for you, which you'll be getting. I think everybody who's at a digital print or better or digital player or better gets the print and play version of it. And if you get the box or you want to add it as an add-on, it is a cool solid deck of cards. I don't have any handy here, but in our cool telescopic boxes, so they're really easy to open and close and keep, even with sleeve protectors and so on. It's super cool. I'm actually going to use it tonight in an adventure that we are playing. And it is just really fun, smooth, and narrative. So we think of it as kind of the narrative chases rather than the more mechanical ones from Suede, which it really does accommodate starship battles. But we just don't need that here. So we wanted something fun and fast and furious and fantasy, and Simon did it for us. So you're gonna love it.
Awesome. Will this product refer to the old setting as Galerian or Lost Omens?
I think in all the instances right now, it's referred to as Galerian, the world of Galerian.
Perfect. Alrighty.
Well, and one other point, just to kind of clarify that, right? It's Galerian is still a thing in Lost Omens. Lost Omens is the broad. This is the all of the Pathfinder settings, right? And that's across Pathfinder and everything. We're still very firmly on the world of Galerian, for now.
Okay. How are multiple arcane backgrounds handled?
So you have a different set of PowerPoints for each, and you keep them separate unless you wind up taking the Mystical Theurge prestige, Mystic Theurge, which lets you combine them at a certain level. So that's really it. If you want to be a cleric and a wizard, you can do both those things. You keep your spell points, your PowerPoints separate. You have faith and spell casting that you use to cast them. You have edges that would apply to either until you maybe take that prestige edge and combine them. Very simple, very clean, works great.
I will say the other thing too is some will have different powers that they have available to them. So it'll give you a broader availability if you're taking multiple.
Right. Unlike Suede, like most of our settings, and I take this for granted that people know it sometimes, when we do a setting, we give you the powers list for that arcane background, right? So sorcerers, wizards, clerics, druids, bards all have a set spell list. So if you take 2 different arcane backgrounds, you're going to have, a more variety, but you will have to cast it with, whatever power goes with that.
Okay. All right. Are we doing any specific edges and hindrances like forlorn elves or giving gnomes an edge to expand their gnome magic abilities?
Right now, there are not any in the core. I think, only the future knows which edges will get added later.
Perfect. Alrighty.
Well, I mean, gnomes do have gnome magic as a ancestral.
That's part of their ancestry, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but there's no expansion edge yet that says
There's no
gnome magic
additional.
plus.
Right.
Yeah. Ultimately, we're trying to really get if you went to that channel that's the hydraulic press, and you put Pathfinder between the press and you squished it down into as tiny a concentrated shot of Pathfinders you could get. That's what we're trying to replicate. Because
honestly, for a moment, John, I thought you were saying if you take a gnome and you squish it down, you get the best gnome juice out of it.
I mean,
how much magic would really be in that?
Pinnacle does not condone the pressing of gnomes.
So, Clint, do you drink that gnome juice or what?
It's like a juicing.
And I know this has come up too for various questions, but we're trying to include all the stuff we can. But there's, how many ultimate books, like 7 bestiaries? There's a lot of stuff out there, and so a lot of this is mostly the core book kind of stuff that you would see if you had joined, a Pathfinder session from day one, book 1.
Will we see any iconic? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Mike, you've got a few more vacation days left, right? Can we just crank those out?
I have enough. We'll see what we can do.
All right. Are we going to see any iconic magic weapons like a Holy Avenger, for example?
Yes. So I was recently in deep in the magic section or magic item section, and so not every single item has made it. I think Plate of the Deep hasn't made it in, but like the Holy Avenger, being able to add Vorpal to your weapon or speed to your weapon, being able to take glamored armor so you can walk around casual clothes and your enemies are surprised when they hit you. All those should still be available. You'll also have Gloves of Storing for anybody who likes to play a sneaky rogue and enjoys that item. So you're going to see a lot of the iconic stuff coming back, and of course functioning in a way that makes it work well in the Suede mechanic system. Yeah.
Sweet. And on that kind of same vein, will there be rules for magic item creation?
Yes, there is. It's pretty straightforward. I think this most recent iteration is probably going to be different than the Fantasy Companion, maybe. But it's it's in there. I don't want to throw too much out there because then I'm accountable if it's slightly different and people hate me for it.
Oh man. One big difference in design between Savage Worlds and Pathfinder is that money gives you power in Pathfinder through magic items. Is that something you're going to replicate in Savage Worlds? And if so, how does that change the game?
I guess I could speak. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's fair to say that we're replicating that because we're keeping the Pathfinder economy. And as Mike said, we have magic items that are basically built within the Pathfinder economy in terms of how much they cost. And when you are doing things and dungeon delving or going through Rise of the Runelords or whatever, you're going to pick up items and money and such, and you'll be able to buy things with it. So I think in the largest sense, the answer to that is yes, we're emulating that. How does it change the game? I don't know if it does. I would want to hear what other people thought about that too, but I'm not sure it changes the game.
I do want to jump in on that aspect here, especially looking at it from doing all the work in Rise of the Runelords here. If you start out in any game as a novice and chase down a dragon, it is inevitably going to go bad for you. And while we may not have the power curve that occurs in Pathfinder, the magic items along with your edges are something that helps show growth and progress, essentially, right? So you're going to start out, without magic items. Maybe you find the Holy Avenger. Maybe you just get some really cool trinkets and abilities, boots to levitate with, to allow you to take on extra challenges. It'll help you take on things that are tougher that you might not fight as a novice character, but it's not going to change everything dramatically. Plus, enemies might have magic items too, and so if you run in and somebody's got a human bane ogre hook, things aren't going to go so well if you're the one human in the party.
Been there.
So yeah, I think you're definitely going to see a change, but I don't think it's going to be so drastic that it throws you off or feels weird. I think it'll feel natural.
Okay. All right.
Thanks for reminding me not to build a human for our next dev playtest.
Why would you ever play a human when you are a human? That is always my question to anyone who plays a human.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'm going to move on because we got a rapid fire. We have tons of questions and we don't have much time. We've got about 15 minutes, so I hate to cut y'all off because this is great. We'll do more of these. But rapid fire time. Savage Worlds for Pathfinder question. When a class edge allows a character to use one skill in place of another for a test, is it opposed by the attribute that would oppose the original skill or the alternate skill, like for a bard, if they use performance for taunt? Is it resisted by smarts or spirit?
I think it's resisted by the same skill as it always is.
It will be resisted by whatever skill you're ultimately using, yes.
Okay. I
Meaning
have
the
to find the
attribute
next
linked to it. So spirit, answer, done.
Someone was asking, do we know the colors of the ribbons for the books? Is there an additional 10K goal for one more ribbon?
No, there is not.
All right. Is there going to be a Kickstarter for the Fantasy Companion or
Yes,
some bundles
there will.
with cool add-ons? Awesome.
Something like that.
How much of the companion will be a reprinting from Savage Pathfinder?
Answer hazy. Ask again later.
Magic
But
weapons.
we
and
are
armor
trying to
stack
make
up.
sure that they are. Sorry, Chelsea, but we are absolutely making sure that they're different books. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
They do different things.
Magic weapons and armor stack up pluses in D20. But for example, even a +1 to hit in Savage Worlds has a large game effect. How is the magic weapons and armor approached in Savage Pathfinder?
In a balanced way.
Yeah, that's a much bigger question than what we can answer here.
And a lot of playtesting.
Yeah, I could give you an hour-long discussion on this. So
Maybe you should in the design corner.
Yeah. No.
Quick version, about half the level for the equivalent in Savage Worlds. If it was +4, it's like a +2. Good.
Okay. Let's see. I love the diversity of Savage World settings. How easy will it be to transport Pathfinder characters into the last parsec?
Super easy.
Okay. Beautiful. I love that you guys give a discount for VTTs in this Kickstarter. Should we expect something like this in future Kickstarters?
Something like this? Yes. What? We don't know. The future of VTT is evolving. Our relationship with it is evolving. How we make products to work with it is evolving. So answer hazy, ask again later.
Someone was asking a little bit about riffs. We'll definitely get Sean on and have him talk about riffs in his own stream, just so that we can get to those questions for you guys.
But we did right at the beginning, and lots is coming.
Mm-hmm. Can we maybe expect some Savage Pathfinder booster crowdfunding like Blood Drive for Deadlands?
Yes.
Cool. Will all the PDFs launch at the same time or as you finish them?
They will not all launch at the same time. We will put out a little bit at a time because we need feedback and we want to make sure everything is right and stacks well upon each other.
Okay. That is a repeat question. I'm so sorry. I'm scrolling through a billion questions right now.
That's okay. We understand. Yeah.
If we literally have a billion questions, then I'm the next Jeff Bezos.
Well, hi, Jeff Bezos 2.0. Please
hello.
Right. Will it break stuff to break I can't. What? Will it break stuff to break Savage Pathfinder specific edges, not class edges, into general Savage Worlds, like allowing the Paladin's Mercy edge as a general thing in a different Savage Worlds game?
We built all of them to work balanced out as you would expect for any other Savage Worlds game. except riffs.
The only point to that, though, you may have to institute some setting rules from Pathfinder, like if the restrictions on armor types and things like that to make it work. Some of those things wouldn't work generally.
Right.
Gotcha. Somebody asked if we're in Pathfinder 1st or 2nd edition. We're in 1st. That's about stretch goals.
Not that it matters because it's the story, not the mechanics, right?
Question.
Well,
size of books. Same as Sexy Suede.
Yes.
That's our
but
story.
Only the sexy ones. Which is all of them.
I need an adult.
Okay. We finally got to the last question. How soon until the Legend of Ghost Mountain comes out?
You know, I just did a review of it yesterday, and we are so in general, we have different teams working on different things, right? So me and Jess tend to work on Deadlands. I work on the companions. We've got all these folks working on Pathfinder. We've got Sean and his team. Ghost Mountain is one of those aberrant things that comes in, and we just, we really want to do it. And it's been sitting in our mind since, it's been sitting in my mind since Kung Fu Panda. Daryl Hayhurst wrote it. We've got all most of the art in for it, but we got to find the right time to do it when we can make sure we can dedicate, Chelsea and Chris and the marketing team to make sure that, what are we doing for it? Are we doing actual plays? Are we doing previews, et cetera, right? So I don't know yet. I still plan on having it later this year, but I just won't know till we figure out kind of how fast we can get Pathfinder done and all this other stuff, which, we're growing and we're going through those growing pains and we're working on it.
Sweet. And one more question just came in. I think it's a good question. Are there maps included for encounters in Rise of the Runelords?
Whatever was in Paizo.
Beautiful.
The original Pathfinder.
And then my last question, I get the last question. I'm running this show. And I'm going to steal Dawn's favorite question because it's such a good question. And we'll go from left to right, top to bottom. What are you most excited for our backers and people to see once they get Pathfinder for Savage Worlds in their lovely hands? Dawn, you want to start?
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I thought their view was flipped, so it would be theirs. Honestly, at this point, we've worked on so many different things. It's really just I want to hear people's reactions. I want to hear the stories they tell. I want to hear less the GMs than I want to hear players talking about the cool things that their GM has run, because the intersection of where somebody running the game has put in their creativity and the tools that we've provided hits, and the reaction those players have, that's a wonderful thing to see.
Beautiful. Jody?
So you remember like in the Blood Drive interview when Simon was showing off like some of the and actually it was a Halloween, he did the unboxing for Deadlands, and he kind of dropped the box set down and it went thunk, and everybody went, that was a mighty thump or something like that, and they just got so excited. And I'm like, I can't wait for you to see these for the Runelords box set and for the Ultimate Core box set, because I mean it's just going to be super glossy, cardboard, very sturdy on the outside. Like these are really sturdy boxes. I stand on them sometimes. These are, and you'll be able to pull the books out anytime you want to look at them and put them back in, and you keep them nice and on your shelf. And then, I mean, they just look fantastic, guys. And that is what I am most excited to see, is for all of those product shots, like hitting all of the social media posts of I got my stuff. That's what I can't wait for. And I mean, I can't wait to hear about people's stories about that.
That's great. Clint?
So I can't wait for people to pick up the books, really the core Pathfinder book, and start going through it and see things in there that they will eventually see in the core rules. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that we've learned, being able to dig down deep on this setting, really highlighted some aspects of the core rules in ways that they aren't major changes, but they really are refined. It's like, sharpening a knife to a razor edge. And I can't wait for them to see those, and also to start wondering which ones are just setting rules and which ones are actually going to be in the core rules. And then, go, ha, ha, ha.
All right, Mike?
Just because I've spent so much time in it, I'm excited to hear people's stories playing Rise of the Runelords. There's a lot of there's so much great stuff in there, but you will never be able to completely replicate the GM and player interactions that just change stuff, right? Who did they make allies with that normally you don't? Who did they, let get away that could come back and haunt them later? Those are the kinds of stories that just excite me so much. I love to hear about those. And GM kill counts. Blame it on me. I want to know.
All right. Moving to Carl.
I'm going to be excited to see when we all get back to convention gaming and going through the hall where people are playing and seeing people play Savage Pathfinder in their own stories, their own characters that they make. It's going to be amazing. I mean, it's really going to be cool. Can't wait for that.
Simon?
I think for me, a little bit like Jody, I'm looking forward to seeing people open that Ultimate box set. We got a lot of work to try and figure out how to get everything in it, but I think once you do get it and it's open, it's going to be a big box with a lot of good stuff in it. So I'm looking forward to seeing people react to that.
Ooh, so film your unboxings, people, and send them to Simon. Jess?
I was going to say kind of a similar thing. Like, I can't wait to see who the first person on Facebook is that's like, I got my thing in the mail and I'm the first one, because there's always that person. And then, people just taking pictures of getting it and being really excited. I remember when that happened with Suede. And that was pretty cool. All the posts in the Facebook group of everybody getting their stuff.
Gotcha. Shane?
I'm looking forward to, Savage Worlds cannot do dungeon crawls. I'm looking forward to seeing them eat some crow.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's only fitting that Chris gets to go last. He's been our project manager from the start, and he's kept us on track.
Absolutely, Chris.
That's a tough act to follow, though, Shane. That's a pretty good one.
You don't have prop glasses ready?
I don't.
Oh, Benny.
Mine might be a little bit lame, but I really am curious to see how people use cantrips. I think cantrips is a pretty fun piece of Savage Pathfinder, the way we have set that up, and I think there's a lot of creative narrative role-playing that can come out of that, and I'm really curious to see how people use it.
Fantastic.
I think that's a great one, Chris, because they do that in the Hollow's Last Hope, Premier playtest. They've already used cantrips in some really cool ways that I didn't think about. So cool.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. I know this was kind of a last minute thing, but we started doing kind of last minute things. Thank you for 400K. That is incredible. Keep it up. Keep pushing. We're happy to see where we can get by the end of the night. We've got Hollow's Last Hope, the finale, coming up just after this. But I think Shane had one more thing he wanted to end on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say years ago, we let Steve Jackson Games do GURPS Deadlands. And a lot of people said, why would you let another game company make a game of your game, right? And we did it because I like GURPS and I like Steve Jackson and I like the people at Steve Jackson Games. And we wanted our world out there as much as our game, right? And I think Pathfinder's, Paizo's willingness and generosity with letting us play in their same box, the same as Kevin did with Rifts, not only speaks, it's not only great for us, right? It speaks well of our industry. I think, while it's still relatively young and we're all still friendly about these things, I think it's great, right? And it is a golden age of gaming right now. There have never been so many choices, so many cool games for all of us to play. And I got in this because I just love to play. I love to play. I love to create, and to be in a community that not only rewards that, but embraces it and does the same. Who's yawning in the middle of my speech? It's just fantastic. So thank you to Steve Jackson. Thank you to Kevin. Thank you to Lisa, Jeff, and Eric, and Jason, and all the awesome folks at Paizo for letting us play in your sandbox. I hope we've done it justice and continue to do so for years to come. Thanks to Marcus Plotz for putting this all together in the first place and making it happen. Marcus runs Ulysses, and he's one of my best friends, and he's a heck of a guy. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Jody!
It's been a long day.
my gosh. We've
Down
got
my
like
end,
4
my
minutes.
whole screen was nothing but me. And
It
then
is
I
true.
hear, I wasn't distracting at all.
Yes, guilty.
It is a sign, though. I mean, everybody on this screen and more that you haven't seen, to everyone out there, we put a lot of work into this stuff, and everyone's underpaid, and that's not a function of me being a skinflint. That's just we all put our hearts into it. I am a skinflint. I'm not. We put our hearts into it. Everybody here just wants to do this stuff. I think that's why you back it. That's why we make it. We play it. Man, we just love to game. We do all the time. I am gaming 4 nights this week. I have a game like this since I was in my 20s.
Oh my gosh. In the middle of ending a Kickstarter.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I think we're just trying to figure out how we're going to transfer over to Hollow's Last Hope. I think this stream is going to stay live and we're just going to transfer straight to that. So I'm just waiting for Landauer to reply and let me know how we're going to hop.
I was hoping we'd get Landauer back on screen for one last thing.
Here, I'll swap out.
Yeah.
You're muted. There you go. You're still muted, Chris.
You spoke of the devil. You called his name 3 times, and he appeared.
Sure did. I think we have a word for you, because you made me say words that I can't pronounce.
So revenge is best served cold. I see, right?
Are you ready? Oh.
How do you say that, Chris?
Pineapple. That's pineapple. And this is a pinnacle, guys. So thanks, everybody. We're going to end this stream, but everybody in Twitch, stay around. We will restart the new stream momentarily. Again, thanks to Paizo, thanks to Pinnacle, thanks to everybody, all the backers especially. We unlocked everything. You guys are amazing. We will be doing this again and bringing you more content. And hey, guys, get some sleep finally, please. And yes, I do have I have pinnacles at my desk. Yes, I do. So yeah, we will see you momentarily. We're going to end this stream, and then once it finally ends, we're going to start back up on Twitch. So everybody join us at Twitch for the Megan Caves-led Hollow's Last Hope finale with secret Scorch goals. We appreciate you guys. See you momentarily.
Yep,
thanks, everybody.
Thank
Bye
you.
from Pineapple Entertainment Group.